Welcome everyone, this is Michael from the Marks Group Live. Happy to be reviewing today Zoho Forms. After this video is over, please feel free to email us at support@marksgrouplive.com for any questions that you have on this topic or on anything else Zoho. Also be sure to rate this class as well, helping your fellow Zoho users and helping us to improve the quality of your video library. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at Zoho Forms, an easy and effective way to get information from clients and partners without exposing your in-house information infrastructure. While they're both easy and secure, Zoho Forms gives you much of the power of Zoho CRM and even allows you to create complex reports and have automated tasks that Zoho carries out according to field data. You can integrate Zoho CRM with your forms, and there are other integrations available as well. We're not going to get into all of that functionality in this short class, but we're going to make a start of accessing some of that power. So here's what we've got coming up today. We're going to look at the basic Zoho Forms plan and what you can do with it. We're going to look at how to get to the Zoho Forms application itself. We're going to look at creating and sharing a form. We're going to be looking at viewing form data, and we're going to be exporting and integrating Zoho Forms data. As I mentioned earlier, we're not going to get too far into the power of Zoho Forms, just enough to start to get a sense of what we can do with this tool. Now, before we get into our Zoho sessions, one word of advice. If your screen doesn't look exactly like mine, don't panic. Your Zoho instance may have been set up a little bit differently from mine, and Zoho does make changes to its applications from time to time. So there may be a few differences on some of the screens that we look at today. Most of what I do today should work pretty well across all versions of Zoho for quite some time. If you're trying to replicate what I'm doing and you get stuck, drop us an email at support@marksgrouplive.com and we'll see what we can do to help you out. So first things first, forms.zoho.com, that's how we get to Zoho Forms. We can do this on a browser URL. One of the great things about Zoho Forms also is that they'll work on a mobile device when you're actually running the form. They work very well on a mobile device, and our use case today will actually take a look at how that would work. Now, once we're here, let's go here. Sorry, let me switch my screen. There we go. Forms.zoho.com will take us to this screen. And once we're here, we can start working on forms, reports. We can create and control user access. And let's see, there's user access, there are reports. We can also have optionally available tasks and approvals. In a minute, we'll return to the forms menu over here, but for now I'm going to head over to the right, and underneath my organizational icon here at the way upper right in the corner there, I'm going to select account usage. Now you can see at the top here that I'm in the free tier. That's that little bit of content up there. If we read across these four circles, we can see that my free account allows me to have 3 forms, one of which I've already created, and I'm allowed to have 500 submissions. I can have 200 megs of storage, and I can accept 10 payment submissions. If these limits worry you, you might want to consider upgrading once you've had a chance to experiment with forms, and once you've managed to get a handle on what information is available to you. Let's click on that Upgrade Now link and see what happens. Zoho should be opening up very shortly. There we go. Zoho opens up a screen that shows me what options are currently available as of early 2019. Here are the 5 paid plans that Zoho offers, ranging from $8 a month to $320 per month. That's $320 per month. All 5 subscriptions give you access to unlimited forms, unlimited reports, integration with 4 different payment processors, and a variety of built-in and custom themes. The big differences between these plans lie in the number of users on the back end, the number of forms that can be submitted per month, and the amount of storage. Also, the basic plan does not allow you to set up approvals and automated tasks. Let's return to our free version for the time being and see how to create a simple form. I'm going to refresh that, and I'm going to go back to the Forms right there, the Forms tab up at the top. Let's see, we've taken care of that. We've done how to get to Zoho Forms. Now let's look at creating and sharing a form. You can see that I've already created one form called Contact Us. I'm going to swing all the way to the right and click on New Form. I'm immediately offered an opportunity to either create a blank form or to use a template. Now, we're actually going to start with a blank form in our session today, but before we do that, I'd like to take a really quick tour of the form templates. As you can see, there are an awful lot of templates here. We've got 6 templates in the business tracker, 5 in the human resources section, 4 different templates in the requests, 4 in construction, 4 in e-commerce, 5 in nonprofits, medicine. There's a patient admission, patient details. There are education forms. There are personal forms. That's a party form. There's a course evaluation form, patient admission. We can preview any of these templates without committing it to it by clicking on the template. I hope that this tour gives you a sense of what we can capture with Zoho Forms. When you start your own experiments, make sure you preview these templates first to get an idea of what can be done. You may find that it's easier to take an existing template and modify it to suit your purpose. Or you may find it more helpful to you, let's get out of there, to start with a blank form. I will point out something though. Let's switch to here. Something that is important to understand is that the design of effective forms is an art. It is not something that you should expect to be able to do really well immediately unless you've had some training in user design, user interfaces. So don't be surprised, Don't be surprised if your first forms don't actually work quite the way that you would hope that they would. That's an entirely normal part of the learning curve. Let's go to here and switch there. There we go. So now I'm creating a new form. I'm going to set my form name for now. I'm going to set up to MF second form. Description. This is a description of the form. Now I'm actually going to change this in a moment, but for now I'm going to leave that as it is. I asked Zoho to create the form, and now I'm in the form editor. Now what you'll actually see is here in the main part of your screen. This is a drag and drop area where I can take any of these basic fields, drag them into here. But before I do that, here's this header. I click on that, and now off on the right, we see the properties. Now, in many Zoho applications, each field has an ellipsis inside it to indicate that you can click there to get more options about something. It's normally the way things are done in the Zoho CRM, for example, when you're designing layouts. In the Forms application, however, we find that the object controls are off on the right side. The only thing that's available to us within the object itself, actually, let me drag one on here. Let me drag an object there. The only thing that's available to us there is a button to either delete it, that object, or to duplicate that object. I'm going to delete it for now. So the title of the form that the user sees, I don't want that to say second form. Let's make that hello, how can we help you? And then, see my use case here. I imagine that this is going to be very useful to you if you happen to be at a conference, say, and you have a kiosk where users can enter their information. If they want more information about your services, your products, uh, let's give them a quick and easy way to do this. It used to be that we did a business card drop. This may be something that is more helpful. It may be faster for you. And you'll see one of the ways that this is an incredibly powerful tool as we develop the scenario. So I'm going to say that this is going to be on display at our kiosk, at our booth at a trade show. So instead of saying description, let's say by completing this form, you agree that we may contact you with information about our products and services. So off on the right here is where I'm typing this in the description field, and you're seeing it appear over there. Label placement is used for all of this is a global variable. Now you don't actually see the changes here. I'll come back to the label placement in a moment once we start getting some fields onto our form. So I'm going to start by setting the date and time for when we're grabbing this lead. So let me look through here. Address, number, single line, multi-line. There's the date and time field. I drag it into the area here. So now I've got a date and time field. Now I can leave it as date and time. I don't actually want my leads, when people come to my booth, I don't necessarily, and complete this, I don't necessarily want them to have to complete this information. I can just say, let's automatically have the form populate this. So I will autofill the current date and time, that is the date and time on which the form was filled out. And I'm going to click here to say we're going to hide that field for the time being. My users don't need to see it, but it may be helpful for me to know when somebody came by my booth at the trade show. The next thing that I'd like to do is I would like to have my conference participants complete their name, email, phone number, and give me a sense of what it is that they're interested in. So I'm going to drag the name over. First and last, I go to a lot of conferences where there are professionals or highly educated professionals. So I'm going to say name. That's fine there. The field size the field size here tells me how wide each of the fields is. So small, that gives me two very short little fields. Large gives me two fields like that. I'm going to leave that as large. I'm going to check on title and make sure that that is turned on so that people can select the title. And you're thinking, well, we have Mr., Miss, Ms. Maybe we should have a couple of others. For example, we might want to have Doctor, or we might want to have the more neutral MZ. All right. So here are my options. And I can set that to be mandatory. I think I will actually set that field to be mandatory because I don't want somebody coming along without telling me, well, without this information, I'm not sure it's going to be dreadfully useful. So that's my field label there. I'm going to go back to here, the top, for just a moment, because I mentioned the label placement, that we'd get back to that once we had some fields in here. You can see here that date and time, that lettering is above that field. The name is above those fields, the name title for that. You can see left, that means that the field label is off to the left of the fields. Right, that's right aligned. So it's jammed right against them. I think for our purposes right now, top is going to look a little bit better. All right, Let's add email. Let's add email addresses because when you're at a conference collecting leads, email addresses are useful. I'll make that at least a medium size, but I may as well make it a large size field. I don't need to have an initial value in there, but it's interesting that there are allowed domains there. There are allowed domains there. So by default, all domains are accepted, but I can actually narrow this down so that if there are people that I want from specific domains, I can add them in here, and I can have a comma separated list that I paste in there, so that I only accept people from those specified domains. I'm not going to make it mandatory. I'm going to leave it all this information there. There's a field down at the bottom here where I can have the user input as a QR code or a barcode. That can be useful in very specific situations. That is beyond the scope of today's session. Let's get another field on here. Let's get a phone number in there. I'm going to make that a medium-sized field. I'm going to leave the field format as international unless you specifically know that you only want people coming from a North American context. That's the United States and Canada. You might want to leave that as international. Next thing up is a matrix choice. Where have I got that? Here we go. Our matrix choice is a really neat field. So I can have radio buttons where people are selecting only one or the other for each line, or I can have a checkbox where they can check multiple products or services. If in this case, we can also have a drop-down list. I'm going to select the checkbox for this particular example. So let's say that in one of my particular businesses, we have products in one of my businesses for teens, young adults, and adults, and we have teens for both a parenting context and a counseling context. So what I'll do is I don't actually edit inside there. Remember that I edit off to the right. And so my field label will be which products and services are important to you. Okay. You can check for instructions. I'll say you can check more than one with an exclamation mark. You'll see that the title field label is up at the top here, and the instructions are found down at the bottom in italicized, slightly gray text. I can still change the choice type here to radio or checkbox, but I'm going to leave that as checkbox. The questions are the horizontal parts. So for that, let's say we're going to go with teen, young adult, and adult. By the way, I'm getting from one field to another by hitting the tab key. And for answers, I'm going to say parenting, counseling, and I'm going to get rid of answer C because I don't need that column. I can also import predefined answers. This can be really handy if you have a complex list of things that you want people to be choosing. In a course that I teach, we have a list of 40 social media sites, and if I had to type that in for every question, that would be unfortunate. I can simply take a list and import it. Zoho offers me the same thing. Let's see. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to add a multi-line text field at the very bottom. I'm going to make that large so it's the whole width of the screen. My field label is going to be notes and reminders. Anything we should know, whoopsie, about you and your work. Right there. Encryption is not available except in one of the paid plans. So if you want to have some of the information in your survey or your form encrypted, you have to be on a paid plan. And make note that that information, the encryption, cannot be undone. It's a very powerful function, not to be used incautiously. All right, I'm going to save my form at this point. I'm going to save that. And before I share this, I'm going to go to I'm going to change one setting, and that is actually in the settings area. Now here in the settings area, I go to acknowledgements and redirects, the second of these. There is a lot of stuff to unpack in this area. This is just a brief introduction to Zoho Forms. So stay tuned. We can be doing another one of these where we go into much greater depth on forms. Right now, I'm going to go into acknowledgements and redirects. I'm just going to do a splash message right here. That's great. Thanks. So this is what happens when somebody clicks on the submit. I can also have a plain text page, a thank you page with plain text. Rich text is not available in the free plan. And the plain text says, currently, thank you, your response has been submitted. We can leave that the way it is. And I'm definitely going to include a link to allow respondents to add another response, because again, this is at a booth at my trade show where somebody presumably has an iPad, and that iPad is available for people who drop by my booth to enter their information. So that is the form at this point. I'm going to save that. There we go. Now I'm going to go to Forms. And here's hello, how can we help you? That form that I've just created. I can go back in and edit it, of course. I can look at the entries, and lo and behold, there are none. Or I can share this. Off here I can duplicate, edit, and enable or disable or delete this form. Right now I want to share this form because I'd like to see how that's going to look. When I click on this, I get a permalink, and when I click inside there, it automatically copies it to a clipboard. I can have refers, and I can have pre-filled form fields as well. I can share this to social. We do have a class on social media as well that should be posted shortly. Right now, I've just got that link. I'm going to open up a new tab in my web browser. I'm going to paste that link. And this is what it looks like. I just created this form. Hello, how can we help you? And there's my text. By completing this form, you agree that we may contact you with information about our products and services. So I'm going to put my name as Ms. See, I'm going to type my name correctly. There's my phone number. And I'll say that I'm interested in parenting teens and counseling young adults and adults. There we go. This is a note about the form that I completed at a trade show. Right. And then I'm going to hit the submit button. There's my pop-up that says, that's great, thanks. There's the text, thank you, your response has been submitted. And I can add another response right there. That's the link to submit another response. I'm going to go back to my forms now, and I'm going to take a look at what we've just done. Here are my forms. So I'm back on the back end here now. I'm going to click on all entries. There's my form name. Hello, how can we help you? I've selected all entries here. And here's an entry that I just submitted from Ms. Michael Friesen, Michael F. at marksgroup.net. There's my phone number. So now I can delete this. I can maybe assign a task, but not in the free plan. There's a document merge possibility. And document merge is really powerful because what I can do with the document merge is I can actually take my form data and I can merge it with an email, with a Zoho Writer document that then goes out to people. This can be something like a confirmation that they're interested in using our products and services, or information maybe that they requested based upon some of the products and services that they indicated they were interested in. Once we get a few forms in here, you might actually want to filter your entries or search for specific information. So, for example, you may say that there was somebody who came and they came from a me.com email address. So you only want to have people whose email address has the letters ME, which in this case would not be anybody. So you have some really great search functionality as well. One of the things that I can do also is I can click on that pencil and I can edit this record. So I can add information. Now, unfortunately, this actually does make it look like the person who submitted the form typed this. If I just want to make comments or notes on it, this was a great lead, sounded very interested in our services. And I can add a comment to that. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the size of my screen slightly. I'm going to get out of there. And now I'm back. Yep. I shrink my screen a little bit. There. Cancel there. All right. So one more thing I can show you on the Forms data screen. Let's go here. The export command right here. All entries, reports, settings, analytics. If I look at all entries, right there, that button, I can export the data either to CSV format or a PDF format. And you're thinking, hey, shouldn't I be able to bring these leads directly into a Zoho CRM as if they were leads? I mean, wouldn't it be helpful that we could do that? And the answer, of course, is yes, we can do that. And we should. So let's do that right now. Let's go here. And we'll click on Settings. Now in Settings, we can scroll down. And where are we here? No, sorry, it isn't under Settings. My apologies. It's under Integrations. If we go to the Integrations tab, we can look on the left side here, and we see that Zoho Forms will, right out of the box, with almost no effort whatsoever, will integrate with Zoho CRM, Sales IQ, Desk, which would be helpful in a help desk situation, of course, Campaigns, Sheets for spreadsheet usage, so Sign, Recruit, it'll integrate with Google Docs, webhooks, Salesforce, WebMerge, and Zapier. And of course, as soon as you've integrated with Zapier, you may as well have integrated with almost any web-based apps, almost any web-based application that we've got there. So let me go ahead of one or two steps here. We've looked at the form view data. Sorry, let me go back here. There we go. So here's what we've covered in our session today. Let me go back to this view here. All right. So today in our session, what we've taken care of is we've looked at the basic Zoho Forms plan, the one that is available for free, and what you can do with it. We looked at the 5 different paid plans that are out there. We looked at how to get to Zoho Forms. That's forms.zoho.com. We looked at how to create and share a form. This was really, really fast. I'm sure that once you start working with forms, you're going to discover all sorts of interesting functions and features. For the most part with Zoho, if you are thinking of that it could be useful, chances are good that the people at Zoho have already created it. We looked at how to view the form data and we looked at exporting data out of a Zoho form and integrating it. Let me see what's next. Right. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I do encourage you to check out our other video library for other video training classes like this one. If you have any suggestions for other classes, if you have questions that you may have about Zoho Forms or anything to do with Zoho, email us at support@moxgrouplive.com. Thanks for viewing.